how there are some potent tools. They are literally things that we use to reach out into the world, to put ideas and thoughts out there, right? But I want to take a few steps back and really look at the medium of the word. So right now we can see, like I said, when we talk about tech, all the most significant communicative methods and even forms of media have been in one way or another represented and even commercialized with various like tech enterprises, right? And you can start with, for example, YouTube dominating the video space. You have music, which I know YouTube has a strong hold on, but it's very much represented now by Spotify. I think it goes hand in hand with Spotify and the whole streaming revolution there. You have voice, which is now being, of course, like taken over by Clubhouse and all the other stuff that came after that. But Clubhouse is really much the pioneer of like social media for the voice. Like that's a pretty interesting idea. And of course, we are finishing at words with Twitter, right? So Twitter really kind of took advantage of the power of words. I'll add another one though, and this is actually kind of interesting. Dance has a place in it too, and it's called TikTok. So I think contrary to a lot of dancers that I've worked with, like I'm very fascinated with the potential of TikTok, and I'm actually very grateful that it exists because it really has put dance on the map much more than we could have ever wished for. So let's start with this question. Like, what is your perception of dance as not just an emergent media stronghold that TikTok has turned us into in a way, but potentially also like a staple of media itself towards the future? Is there a world where dance is a medium to communicate at a mainstream level like TikTok has been able to do for us?
I think it's already happening. I think video-based digital platforms like TikTok, like YouTube, which I would argue even before TikTok came around, dance was having a huge impact on YouTube, to like Instagram to some extent. Instagram is now trying to do a pivot into video. Dance is such a natural fit for all those platforms because it's so visually appealing. And the rise of those social platforms in particular has, I think, already in many ways been game-changing for the dance industry because, at least in theory, it makes dance more democratic. Like a lot of the gatekeeping that used to happen in dance, you weren't really seen as a dancer unless somebody in power had chosen and hired you, right? That was the old way. That's much less of a factor now when any talented dancer with a social media account can amass a large following. And that's led to a different type of dance celebrity emerging. I think TikTok is fascinating because it's a different type of dance that's often prioritized. It's not even about showcasing the like quote unquote best dancer or about, like fetishizing a certain kind of body, which is what a lot of the Instagram dancing has become about. TikTok is more about what performers what regular people performing have the sort of charisma and quirkiness that are that app's stock and trade. Like bringing joy is sort of the common denominator there. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. But so with all of this technology, we're just seeing more dance everywhere all the time. And I think commercial dancers in particular, who previously were often totally unknown because they were, dancing behind a musical artist or somewhere else in the background all the time. Now, thanks to social media, a lot of them are names in their own right. So on paper, which I guess is a funny thing to say about digital technology, but on paper, that's great news. Like more visibility for dance, more visibility for dancers. Fantastic. I do wonder, but first of all, about how that shift is shaping dance culture. Like how does the like economy change the way we think about what a quote unquote successful dance looks like? Are we moving to a place where YouTube catnip flashiness is taking precedent over a certain slowness that I think also has great value in dance? And also, it's definitely not as if these social platforms are purely democratic. I mean, as we saw with movements like the Black TikTok strike, some voices are not being heard and are not being elevated in those contexts. I'm going to get on my soapbox again because I have one other point to make about this. And that is now that so many of these dance artists have huge scopes of influence, how do we properly credit, first of all, and compensate them? Because, for example, when a TikTok dance challenge ends up pushing a particular song like all the way up the Billboard charts because people are streaming that song over and over again to learn the dance, that makes the music company millions of dollars. So how should the creator of that challenge be recognized? How should they be compensated? Those are really important questions to consider as the way we consume and interact with dance changes, thanks to these digital technologies.